Cole Harper stepped off the transport ship and into the largest space station he had ever seen. Station Verac 7 stretched in every direction, filled with lights, sounds, and creatures from 100 different worlds. He carried only a small bag over his shoulder. Everything else he owned had been sold to pay for this journey. The air smelled strange. It was a mix of chemicals and alien scents that made his nose itch. Cole ignored it and walked toward the massive building at the center of the station. The sign above the entrance was written in dozens of languages. He found the English translation at the bottom. It read, Galactic Hunters Guild. This was the place where the greatest hunters in the galaxy came to prove themselves. They took contracts to track and kill dangerous creatures on distant worlds. The best hunters became legends. The worst ones died on their first hunt. Cole pushed open the heavy doors and stepped inside. The registration hall was enormous. Hundreds of aliens moved through the space, some standing in groups and talking, others examining holographic displays of available contracts. Cole felt eyes turn toward him immediately. He was used to it. Humans were still rare in this part of the galaxy, and most species did not think much of them. A group of tall reptilian creatures stood near the entrance. They had 4 arms, each in scales that shifted color as they moved. Cole recognized them from the research he had done during his journey. They were Ketheri, one of the most respected hunter species in the known universe. Their homeworld was a death trap of predators, and only the strongest survived to adulthood. One of them, a massive male with dark green scales, looked at Cole and made a sound that his translator chip turned into laughter. "Look at this," the Ketheri said to his companions. "A human wants to join the guild. What will it hunt? Small insects? Sleeping animals?" The others laughed. Cole said nothing. He had not come here to argue with anyone. He walked past them toward the registration desk. The creature behind the desk was unlike anything Cole had seen before. It had the body of a giant insect, with 6 legs and 2 large arms that ended in precise pincers. Its head was covered in dozens of small eyes that all focused on Cole at once. "I am Guildmaster Vorath," the creature said. Its voice was surprisingly soft. "You wish to register as a hunter?" "Yes," Cole said. Vorath studied him for a long moment. "Humans do not often come here. Your species is young. You lack natural weapons. No claws, no venom, no armor. What makes you believe you can survive as a hunter?" Cole thought about the question. He thought about the years he had spent in the wilderness back on Earth, teaching people how to survive in the most dangerous places on his planet. He thought about tracking bears through the mountains and wolves through the snow. He thought about the patience it took to wait for hours without moving, watching, and learning. "I survive," he said simply. Vorath made a clicking sound that might have been amusement. "Very well. I will register you at the lowest tier. You will receive the contracts that other hunters do not want. If you die, that is your concern. If you succeed, you may advance." Cole nodded. That was fair. The registration process took an hour. They scanned his body, recorded his species information, and gave him a small badge that marked him as a guild member. The badge was a dull gray color. Cole noticed that most other hunters wore badges of silver or gold. "Your ship is in Docking Bay 47, Vorath said when they were finished. "It is called the Wanderer. It was left behind by a hunter who did not return from his last contract. You may use it until you can afford something better." Cole thanked him and made his way to the docking bay. The Wanderer was not impressive. It was a small vessel, barely large enough for one person to live in. The hull was covered in dents and scratches. Several of the external panels were missing entirely. When Cole stepped inside, he found the interior in even worse condition. Half of the systems were offline, and the ones that worked made concerning sounds. He was examining the damaged navigation console when he heard footsteps behind him. The creature that stood at the entrance was small, reaching only to Cole's chest. It looked like a fox that had learned to walk upright, with large ears and golden fur. Its eyes were bright and curious. "You are the human," it said. The voice was female. "I am Lyra. I work in the repair bay." "Cole Harper," he said. "Is there something you need?" Lyra stepped into the ship and looked around. Her nose twitched as she examined the damaged systems. "I heard the Cathari laughing at you. They laugh at everyone who is different. But I also saw that you did not react to their insults. That was interesting. Getting angry would not change their minds," Cole said. "No," Lyra agreed. "It would not. But most species would have tried anyway." She ran a small paw over the broken console. "This ship is in terrible condition. The guild gave you the worst vessel they had. I know. I can help you repair it," Lyra offered. "I do not have much else to do, and I am curious about humans. My people are considered weak, too. We are small, and we cannot fight. But we survive because we are clever, and we help each other." Cole looked at the small alien. She was the first creature on this station who had shown him any kindness. "I would appreciate the help," he said. "But I cannot pay you much." "I do not want payment," Lyra said. "I want to see if the others are wrong about you." Over the next 3 days, Lyra helped Cole repair the Wanderer. They replaced broken parts and rewired damaged systems. Lyra talked constantly, asking questions about Earth and humans and how Cole had learned to survive in the wild. Cole answered honestly. He told her about the mountains and forests of his homeworld. He told her about the animals he had tracked and the storms he had weathered. He did not tell her why he had left Earth. That pain was still too fresh. When the ship was finally working, Cole checked the contract board for available jobs. Most of them were far beyond his abilities. But one listing caught his eye. A mining colony called Data 9 had been overrun by creatures called Sketh Stalkers. 3 hunters had already tried to clear them out. All 3 had failed and abandoned the contract. It was dangerous work that no one wanted. The pay was low, and the chances of death were high. Cole accepted in any way. As the Wanderer lifted off from Station Vorak 7, Lyra's voice came through the communication system. "Be careful, Cole Harper. Come back alive." Cole set course for Theta 9. He did not know if he would succeed, but he knew he would not give up. Giving up was not something humans did well. The stars stretched into lines as his ship jumped to faster than light speed, carrying him toward his first hunt. The mining colony of Theta 9 was a graveyard of metal and silence. Cole landed the Wanderer on a broken landing pad and stepped out into the cold air. The sun here was weak, giving everything a gray and lifeless look. Buildings stood empty around him. Equipment lay abandoned in the streets. There were no bodies, but there was blood. Lots of it. Cole spent his first hour walking through the colony without making a sound. He studied the marks on the walls and the patterns of destruction. The previous hunters had come in fast and loud. He found the remains of their camps, the shells of their ammunition, the scorch marks from their energy weapons. They had brought enough firepower to destroy a small army. It had not been enough. The Sketh Stalkers were clever. Cole had read about them during his journey. They were pack hunters that could adapt to their prey. They watched and learned. When hunters came with loud weapons, the Sketh learned to attack from behind. When hunters wore heavy armor, the Sketh found the gaps. They were not the strongest predators in the galaxy, but they might have been the smartest. Cole was not going to make the same mistakes as the hunters before him. He found a small storage building near the edge of the colony and made it his base. It had only one entrance, thick walls, and a narrow window that gave him a view of the surrounding area. He sealed the door with debris and settled in to wait. For 3 days, Cole did not hunt. He watched. The Sketh came out at night. They moved in groups of 6 or 7, their bodies low to the ground like wolves made of shadow. Their skin was dark gray, almost invisible in the dim light. Cole counted them through his window. There were at least 40 in the pack, maybe more. He watched how they communicated. They did not make sounds. Instead, they really sensed that the others could smell. When the pack leader changed direction, a wave of movement followed as the others caught the scent and adjusted. It was like watching a single creature with many bodies. On the 4th day, Cole left his shelter and explored the mining facilities. He moved slowly and carefully, always staying downwind. The Sketh had good noses. If they smelled him, they would come. He found what he was looking for in a chemical storage building. The miners had used strong substances to break down rock and extract metals. Many of these chemicals had powerful smells. Cole loaded several containers into a small cart and dragged them back to his shelter. That night, he began his work. Cole mixed the chemicals carefully, creating compounds that would overwhelm the Sketh's sensitive noses. He made batches that smelled like blood, like fear, like the scent markers the Sketh used to communicate. Then he spread them throughout the colony in careful patterns. The effect was immediate. The next night, the pack was confused. They followed false trails that led nowhere. They gathered at spots where they thought prey was hiding, only to find nothing. Cole watched from his window as they became frustrated and uncertain. The scent markers they relied on were no longer trustworthy. While they were confused, Cole began setting traps. He did not use technology. He used wire and pressure plates and heavy objects balanced on thin supports. He dug pits and covered them with thin material. He created paths that looked safe but led to danger. Every trap was simple, but together, they formed a web that covered the entire colony. On the 7th day, Cole caught his first Sketh. It stepped on a pressure plate, and a heavy beam swung down and crushed it against a wall. The pack found the body and howled silently into the night, their scent markers filling the air with rage, but they could not find Cole. His shelter smelled like 1,000 things at once. None of them human. Over the next week, Cole killed 14 more Sketh. Some fell into pits. Others were caught in wire snares that strangled them. A few were crushed by traps triggered from a distance, while Cole watched from hiding. Each time, he moved his shelter to a new location. Each time, he left behind false trails and confusing scents. The pack began to fall apart. Without clear communication, they could not coordinate. Without coordination, they were just animals. Cole picked them off one by one, patient and relentless. On the 15th day, only the pack leader remained. It was larger than the others, smarter and more careful. It had avoided every trap Cole set. It had learned to ignore the false scents and trust only its own eyes. Cole respected it. This creature had survived longer than any of its kind. It deserved a clean death. He found its den in the basement of the main mining facility. He approached without weapons, without chemicals, without tricks. The Sketh saw him coming and rose to face him. For a long moment, they simply looked at each other. Then Cole raised the simple blade he had made from mining equipment and walked forward. The fight was short. The Sketh was fast, but Cole had spent 2 weeks learning how it moved. He avoided its claws and drove his blade into its heart. The creature fell without a sound. Cole sat beside the body for a while. He did not feel joy. He felt tired, but he also felt something he had not felt in a long time: purpose. He loaded the pack leader's body onto his ship as proof of his success and lifted off from Theta 9. When he arrived back at Station Barak 7, the docking bay was crowded with curious aliens. Word had spread. The human had done what 3 skilled hunters could not. Guildmaster Vorath met him at the registration hall. "You completed the contract," the insectoid said. There was something new in his voice. It might have been surprise. I did, Cole said. How? Cole thought about the question. I did not try to overpower them. I made them weak first. Then I was patient. Vorath clicked his pincers. Interesting method. Inefficient, but effective. He tapped something on his console. I am upgrading your tier. You may now accept standard contracts. Cole nodded and turned to leave. The Cathari hunter who had laughed at him was standing near the door. His dark green scales shifted as he studied Cole with new eyes. Luck, the Cathari said. You were lucky. Cole walked past him without responding. He knew it was not luck. And soon, they would know it too. Lyra was waiting at his ship, her golden fur bristling with excitement. I heard everything. 2 weeks against 40 Sketh, and you killed them all with traps and chemicals. That is not how anyone hunts. It is how I hunt, Cole said. Lyra's eyes were bright. Can I record your methods? My people would want to know about this. A small creature defeating larger ones through patience and cleverness. It is a good story. Cole considered her request. He had never thought of his survival skills as stories. They were just things he knew, things he did. But Lyra's enthusiasm was hard to refuse. Record whatever you want, he said. He did not know it then, but those recordings would one day change how the entire galaxy saw humanity. For now, he simply climbed into his ship and checked the contract board for his next hunt. There was work to be done. 6 months passed. Cole Harper completed contract after contract, and with each success, his reputation grew. Other hunters began to whisper about him in the halls of station. Vorax 7. They called him the human who hunted wrong, but always won. His methods confused them. He never charged into battle. He never relied on powerful weapons or advanced technology. Instead, he watched and waited and found weaknesses that others never saw. It was not the way hunters were supposed to work, but no one could argue with his results. His 4th contract took him to a desert world, where a burrowing creature had been destroying underground settlements. The creature was massive, with armor that could deflect energy weapons and claws that could cut through metal. Previous hunters had tried to fight it in the tunnels, but it was too fast on the ground. It attacked from below and disappeared before they could respond. Cole did not go into the tunnels. Instead, he spent a week mapping the tunnel system from the surface, using sound equipment to track the creature's movements. He found that all the tunnels connected to a single main passage deep underground. That passage had only one exit to the surface. He borrowed pumping equipment from the settlers and flooded the entire tunnel system with water from a nearby underground reservoir. Then he sat at the exit with a simple spear and waited. The creature had no choice. It could drown or it could come out. It came out, confused and gasping, and Cole drove his spear through its eye before it could recover. The settlers celebrated for 3 days. His 5th contract was stranger. A wealthy family on a core world had been terrorized by a creature that could read minds. It knew when they were afraid. It knew when they planned to attack. Every hunter they hired walked into traps because the creature saw their intentions before they acted. Cole flew to the core world and met with the family. He listened to their stories and asked careful questions. Then he went to find the creature alone. The creature was beautiful in a terrible way. It had a body like flowing silver and eyes that seemed to look through Cole into something deeper. It was hiding in an abandoned building on the edge of the family's property. Cole walked toward it without weapons. He cleared his mind of all thoughts of hunting. He did not think about killing the creature. He did not think about the contract or the money. Instead, he thought about his daughter. Her name had been Emma. She had been 7 years old when she died. She had loved butterflies and the color purple and staying up late to watch the stars. Cole let himself remember her smile, her laugh, the way she would run to hug him when he came home from teaching his survival classes. the creature froze. It had expected aggression and fear. It found grief and love instead, emotions it did not know how to fight. Cole walked past it to the building's power core and shut it down. The creature had been feeding on the building's energy to stay alive. Without power, it weakened quickly. Cole carried it outside and released it into the wild lands beyond the city, where it could feed on natural energy and harm no one. The family was furious at first. They had paid to have the creature killed. But Cole explained that the creature had only been defending itself against their fear. If they had not been afraid, it would never have threatened them. They did not fully understand, but they paid him anyway. More of these strange victories reached every corner of the station. Hunters who had once ignored Cole now watched him with curious eyes. Lyra's recordings spread across the network, showing his methods to anyone who wanted to learn. Some hunters laughed at his techniques. Others began to wonder if there was wisdom in his approach. The Cathari noticed. 2. Drax was the highest-ranked Cathari hunter in the guild. His scales were deep black, marked with the scars of 100 successful hunts. He had killed creatures that most hunters would not dare to approach. When he walked through the station, others moved aside. He was a legend. He found Cole in the repair bay, helping Lyra install a new navigation system in the Wanderer. "Human," Drax said. His voice was deep and cold. "You have been getting attention that you do not deserve." Cole looked up from his work. "I completed my contracts. With tricks and patience. That is not hunting. That is scavenging." Drax stepped closer, his forearms crossed over his chest. "I challenge you to a competitive hunt. First to kill a void serpent wins. If you refuse, everyone will know you are a coward." Lyra made a small, frightened sound. Cole understood why. Void serpents were among the most dangerous creatures in the known galaxy. They lived in the vacuum of space, feeding on radiation and heat. Their bodies could stretch for hundreds of meters, and their scales could deflect almost any weapon. Hundreds of hunters had died trying to kill them. Cole should have refused. It would have been the smart choice. But he saw something in Drax's eyes beyond simple pride. The Cathari needed to prove that his way was better. He needed to show that strength and aggression could still defeat patience and cleverness. "I accept," Cole said. The hunt was set for the following week, on a dead moon where a void serpent had been spotted. Drax assembled a team of 5 Cathari warriors, all armed with the most powerful weapons the guild could provide. Cole went alone, carrying only basic supplies and a small device he had built in secret. They landed on opposite sides of the moon and began their hunts. Drax and his team charged into the serpent's territory with weapons blazing. Their strategy was simple: find the creature and overwhelm it with firepower. For the first 3 hours, it seemed to work. They tracked the serpent through the rocky valleys and fired at it whenever it appeared. Then the serpent stopped running. It turned on them with speed that should have been impossible for something so large. Its body coiled through the Cathari team like smoke through fingers. Warriors who had survived dozens of hunts were torn apart in seconds. Only Drax escaped, badly wounded and trapped in a narrow canyon with no way out. Cole watched from a distance. He had not been hunting the serpent. He had been studying it. Over the next 6 days, he observed the creature's patterns. It fed on heat, so it always returned to the warmest spots on the moon's surface. It rested after feeding. Its massive body coiled around rock formations to absorb the last warmth. Cole did not try to attack it directly. Instead, he found its feeding grounds and contaminated them with chemicals that would make the radiation there toxic. Then he waited. On the 7th day, the serpent fed and became sick. It grew weak and sluggish. Cole approached it carefully and used a concentrated energy charge to pierce its scales at the weakest point, just behind its head. The creature died without a struggle. Then Cole, went to find Drax. The Kethari was near death when Cole reached him. His black scales had lost their shine, and his breathing was shallow. He looked up at Cole with eyes full of shame. "Leave me," Drax said. "I have lost. Let me die with what honor remains." Cole knelt beside him and began treating his wounds. "There is no honor in dying when you could live. You fought bravely. Your team fought bravely. The serpent was simply stronger than you expected. You defeated it alone. I defeated it differently. That does not make me better than you. It makes me different." Cole carried Drax back to his ship and flew into Station Varak 7. The medical team saved the Kethari's life, though he would carry scars forever. When Guildmaster Vorath asked Cole about the hunt, he told the truth. He had killed the serpent, but only because he refused to face it directly. Drax had shown more courage, even if that courage had nearly killed him. Vorath clicked his pincers thoughtfully. "You could have let him die. That would have removed a rival." "He was never my rival," Cole said. "He was just someone who had not yet learned that there is more than one way to hunt." The story spread through the station quickly. Cole Harper had won the competition, but he had saved his enemy's life instead of leaving him to die. Some thought he was weak for showing mercy. Others began to wonder if perhaps the human understood something about hunting that they had forgotten. Drax was among them. When he recovered, he sought Cole out and stood before him in silence for a long moment. Then he dipped his head in a gesture of respect the Kethari rarely showed to anyone outside their species. "I was wrong about you," Drax said. "You are not a hunter like us. You are something else. Something I do not fully understand. But I would like to learn." Cole nodded. He had not come to this station looking for allies. But sometimes the best things in life came when you were not looking. The galaxy was beginning to change its mind about humans. And Cole Harper was just getting started. Guildmaster Vorath summoned Cole to his private chamber on a cold morning 3 months after the Void Serpent hunt. The chamber was deep inside the station, far from the noise of the registration hall. Few hunters ever saw this place. Fewer still were invited. Cole entered and found Vorath standing before a massive display screen. The screen showed a planet covered in dark clouds and strange lights. It looked wrong somehow, like a place that should not exist. "Do you know what this is?" Vorath asked. "No. It is called Nexer Prime. The Galactic Council has forbidden travel there for 300 years. It is home to a creature called the Endless." Vorath turned his many eyes toward Cole. "This is the Guild's greatest shame. And perhaps our greatest opportunity." Cole waited. He had learned that Vorath did not waste words. "The Endless is not like other creatures," Vorath continued. "It learns. Every hunter we have sent against it has failed, and with each failure, the creature has grown stronger. It adapts to weapons and becomes immune to them. It studies tactics and develops counters to them. We have thrown our best hunters at this creature for 3 centuries. None have returned. Why tell me this? Because you never hunt the same way twice." Vorath moved closer, his insectoid legs clicking against the floor. "The Council has decided that the Endless must be destroyed. It has begun expanding its territory. Soon it will reach the edge of the planet's atmosphere. If it escapes into space, it will threaten populated worlds. We need someone who can kill a creature that has already learned how to survive everything we have tried." Cole looked at the planet on the screen. Something moved beneath the clouds, something vast and dark. "What do you know about it?" "It was discovered 400 years ago by an exploration team. They thought it was dormant. They were wrong." Vorath displayed a series of images. Each showed a different hunting party landing on Nexer Prime. Each ended with the same result: death. "We have tried energy weapons, kinetic weapons, poisons, explosives, biological agents, robotic hunters, and traps of every kind. The Endless survived them all and became immune to each one. You want me to find a new way to kill it. I want you to do what you do best. Think differently. Hunt differently. Vorath paused. I will not order you to take this contract. It is almost certainly a death sentence. But if you succeed, you will be remembered as the greatest hunter in the history of this guild. Cole did not care about being remembered. He had given up on glory when he buried his wife and daughter. But he thought about the creature on that screen, growing stronger with each failed attempt to destroy it. He thought about the lives that would be lost if it escaped. I will need access to every record of every failed hunt, he said. Vorath made a sound that might have been relief. You will have everything. Cole spent the next month studying the records. He watched footage of hundreds of hunters dying in hundreds of different ways. He read reports and analysis and theories. He built a picture in his mind of what the Endless truly was. The creature was not just strong. It was intelligent. It understood violence. It recognized aggression as a warning sign and responded with overwhelming force. Every hunter who had faced it had approached with the intent to kill. The Endless had sensed that intent and prepared accordingly. But what would happen if something approached without hostile intent? Cole found Lyra in the repair bay and shared his theory. She listened carefully, her ears twitching as she processed his words. You want to approach the most dangerous creature in the galaxy without any weapons, she said. Without any plan to kill it. I want to approach it as something other than a hunter. Every creature has ever faced wanted to destroy it. That is the only experience it has. What if I gave it a different experience? You could die. I will definitely die if I approach it the way everyone else has. Lyra was quiet for a long time. Then she reached into her bag and pulled out a small device. I have been working on this. It is a portable stasis generator. It creates a field that freezes anything caught inside it in time. I designed it for capturing specimens alive, not for combat. It has never been tested on anything larger than a small animal. Cole took the device and turned it over in his hands. It was light, no bigger than his palm. You think it might work on the Endless? I think it might be your only chance. The Endless has learned to counter everything that can kill it. But it may not have learned to counter something that does not try to kill. If you can get close enough, if you can make it hesitate, you might be able to activate the field before it reacts. Might. Might is better than nothing. Cole smiled. It was a small smile, but it was genuine. Thank you, Lyra. He left for Nexer Prime the next day. Drax met him at the docking bay and pressed a small token into his hand. It was a Cathari hunting charm, carved from the bone of a great predator. For luck, Drax said, and to remind you that some of us are waiting for you to return. The journey to Nexer Prime took 2 weeks. Cole spent the time preparing his mind. He thought about his wife, who had taught him that the strongest force in the universe was love. He thought about his daughter, who had shown him that the bravest thing a person could do was trust. He let go of his fear and his anger and his grief. He made himself empty. When the Wanderer entered the planet's atmosphere, Cole felt the Endless watching him. The creature's attention was like a weight pressing against his thoughts. It knew he was there. It was waiting. Cole landed on a rocky plain far from the creature's lair. He left his weapons on the ship. He left his tools and supplies. He took only the stasis device hidden in his pocket and began walking. The landscape was alien and hostile. Strange plants twisted out of the ground, reaching for him with thorned vines. The air tasted like metal. In the distance, the Endless moved beneath the clouds, its body too large to comprehend. It was watching, always watching. Cole walked for 3 days. He did not sleep. He did not eat. He focused only on keeping his mind clear of hostile thoughts. When fear tried to rise, he thought about Emma's smile. When anger tried to surface, he thought about his wife's gentle voice. He became nothing more than a creature walking through a strange land, curious and calm. On the fourth day, he reached the Endless. The creature was vast beyond imagination. Its body stretched across the horizon, a mountain of dark flesh and ancient intelligence. Eyes the size of buildings turned toward Cole. He felt its attention focus on him. Probing his mind for the aggression it expected, it found nothing. Cole stood still and looked up at the creature. He did not raise his hands. He did not tense his body. He simply existed, small and unthreatening. The Endless hesitated. In 300 years, nothing had ever approached it without hostile intent. It did not know what to do with this strange small creature that showed no fear and no aggression. Its vast intelligence searched for patterns and found none. For the first time in its long existence, the Endless was confused. Cole took a step forward. Then another. The creature watched but did not strike. He walked until he was close enough to touch the creature's flesh. He could feel its heartbeat through the ground, slow and powerful. He could sense its mind pressing against his own, trying to understand. Slowly, Cole reached into his pocket and pulled out the stasis device. He pressed the activation button and held it against the creature's body. The field expanded outward in a flash of blue light. The Endless began to react, its massive body tensing to strike, but the field was faster. It caught the creature mid-motion and froze it in place. The vast eyes stayed open, still watching, but the body could not move. Cole stepped back and let out a breath. He had not realized he was holding. The Endless was not dead. It was trapped outside of time, frozen in a single moment. It would remain that way as long as the field held. Cole looked up at the creature that had killed hundreds of the galaxy's greatest hunters. It had been expecting an enemy and found something else instead. In the end, that had made all the difference. He walked back to his ship and lifted off from Nexer Prime. He had not killed the Endless. He had done something that no one expected. He had won without destroying. The galaxy would not know what to make of that. But Cole Harper had never cared what the galaxy thought. He only cared about doing what was right. And keeping his promise to return. The return of Cole Harper to Station Verac 7 created chaos unlike anything the Guild had seen in centuries. Word spread through the docking bays before his ship had even landed. The human had gone to Nexer Prime and survived. More than survived. He had conquered. Hunters of every species crowded the landing platform, pushing against each other to catch a glimpse of the impossible. Cole stepped off the Wanderer and walked through the crowd in silence. He did not stop to answer questions. He did not pause to accept praise. He went straight to Guildmaster Voreth's chamber. The Galactic Council was waiting for him. They had assembled via holographic projection, their images flickering around Voreth's chamber. There were representatives from 12 species, each one more powerful and ancient than the last. They had governed the galaxy for thousands of years. They did not like surprises. "You were sent to kill the Endless," said the lead counselor, a crystalline being whose body chimed when it spoke. "Our sensors indicate the creature still lives." "It is contained," Cole said. "The stasis field will hold indefinitely. The creature cannot escape and cannot harm anyone." That was not the contract. The contract was termination. The contract was to remove the threat. The threat is removed. The council members exchanged glances. Several of them displayed clear frustration. They had expected death, not capture. They had wanted the Endless destroyed, erased from existence as punishment for 3 centuries of humiliation. Cole stood calmly before them. He had faced the Endless itself. A room full of angry politicians did not frighten him. "There is another consideration," he said. "My research indicated that the Endless may be the last of its species. Killing it would mean extinction. I chose to preserve it instead." "You chose?" The crystalline counselor's voice sharpened. You are a low-tier hunter. You do not get to make decisions about the survival of species. Then strip me of my rank. Exile me from the guild. But I will not apologize for showing mercy to a creature that was only defending itself against those who attacked it. The chamber fell silent. Guildmaster Vorath watched with his many eyes, his expression unreadable. The council members argued among themselves in rapid communications that Cole could not understand. Then a new voice spoke. I will testify on his behalf. The crowd parted, and Drax walked forward. His black scales had healed since the Void Serpent hunt, but the scars remained. He moved with the confidence of a warrior who had faced death and survived. I am Drax of the Kethari, he said to the council. I have killed more creatures than most of you have seen. I thought I understood what it meant to be a hunter. I was wrong. He turned to look at Cole. This human saved my life when he had every reason to let me die. He defeated me in competition, but refused to celebrate his victory. He taught me that true strength is not about killing. It is about knowing when not to kill. Voices rose from the crowd. Other hunters began stepping forward, each one sharing a story. A hunter from the outer worlds told how Cole's methods had inspired him to capture rather than kill. A group of young Kethari admitted they had begun studying patience and observation instead of just combat. Even some who had once mocked Cole spoke in his favor, confessing that they had misjudged him. Lyra pushed through to the front, her small body barely visible among the larger aliens. I have recorded everything, she announced. Every hunt, every method, every success. I have shared these recordings across the galaxy. Millions of beings have watched them. Cole Harper has shown us a different way to think about hunting, a different way to think about strength. The council watched this display with growing uncertainty. They had expected to punish a rogue hunter. Instead, they found themselves facing something far more complicated. Guildmaster Vorath stepped forward at last. His ancient body moved slowly, but his voice carried authority that silenced everyone. I have led this guild for 200 years, he said. I have seen hunters rise and fall. I have watched species come and go. In all that time, I have never seen anyone do what Cole Harper has done. He turned to face the council. He did not just complete an impossible contract. He changed how we think about what is possible. He showed mercy to an enemy, wisdom in the face of danger, and courage that had nothing to do with violence. That is not weakness. That is the highest form of strength. Vorath raised one of his pincers and pointed at Cole. I declare Cole Harper to be a prime hunter, the highest rank our guild can offer. Any who disagree may challenge this decision through formal combat. No one spoke. The crystalline counselor eventually nodded. Very well. The council accepts this judgment. The human has earned his rank. The holographic images flickered and vanished one by one. The crisis had passed. Cole stood alone in the center of the chamber as the crowd slowly dispersed. Drax approached and clasped his shoulder with two of his forearms. You changed everything, the Kethari said. You know that, right? I did what felt right. That is all. That is everything. Lyra bounded over and wrapped her small arms around Cole's leg. I am so proud of you. Everyone will know about humans now. Everyone will understand. Cole knelt down to look at her. You did the hard work. The recordings, the repairs, the support when no one else believed. I would not have survived without you. The small alien's eyes shone with tears. We survived together. That is what friends do. In the weeks that followed, Cole's life changed in ways he had not expected. Humans began arriving at Station Verac 7, drawn by the stories of HFY. They came from Earth and from human colonies across the galaxy, young and old, strong and weak. They wanted to learn from the human who had defeated the Endless. Cole built a training facility near the edge of the station. He taught them what he knew about patience, about observation, about understanding your prey instead of just attacking it. He taught them that the greatest weapon humans possessed was not their bodies or their technology. It was their minds, their ability to adapt, their refusal to give up. "We are not the strongest species in the galaxy," he told a group of young hunters one morning. "We are not the fastest or the toughest, but we are stubborn. We keep going when others would quit. We find solutions when everyone says there are none. That is our power. That is what makes us human." One of the students, a young woman named Kelly, raised her hand. "Is it true that you went to fight the Endless without any weapons? That you just walked up to it?" Cole smiled. It was a rare expression on his weathered face. "I did not go to fight it. I went to understand it. Fighting would have meant dying like everyone before me. Understanding gave me a chance to survive." "But how did you stay calm? How did you stop being afraid?" Cole was quiet for a moment. He thought about his wife and daughter, the family he had lost, the grief that had driven him to the stars. He thought about all the hunts since then, all the creatures he had faced, all the lessons he had learned. "I remembered the people I loved," he said finally. "When you fill your heart with love, there is no room for fear." The training session ended and the students dispersed. Cole walked to the observation deck and looked out at the stars. Drax joined him, standing in comfortable silence. "Do you ever think about going home?" the Qatari asked. "Sometimes. But Earth is not the same without my family." Cole watched the ship jump to faster than light speed, its trail of light fading into the darkness. "This is my home now. These hunters, this guild, they are my family. Including me?" Cole looked at the warrior who had once wanted to humiliate him. "Especially you." Drax made a sound that might have been laughter. "Humans are strange creatures. You turn enemies into allies and challenges into lessons. I still do not fully understand you. You do not need to understand us. You just need to trust us. I am learning to." They stood together and watched the stars. Somewhere out there, on a forbidden planet, the Endless remained frozen in time. Somewhere out there, young hunters were setting out on their first contracts, carrying the lessons Cole had taught them. Somewhere out there, the galaxy was slowly changing its mind about what humans were capable of. Cole Harper had come to Station Verac 7 as a broken man searching for purpose. He had found something better. He had found family, respect, and a legacy that would outlast him. The lone human they had mocked was now the ultimate hunter, and he was just getting started.